Iowa may not always make headlines, but this charming Midwestern state has a lot to offer. With its rolling plains, crystal-clear lakes, and the mighty Mississippi River, it's an ideal getaway for nature lovers. Known as the Hawkeye State, Iowa is famous for its vast cornfields, picturesque small towns, and vibrant cities. As the heart of America's agricultural belt, Iowa is home to farmland that helps feed the nation. But is that really the whole story? If Iowa has such abundant resources, why are thousands of people forced to pitch tents and go hungry at mealtime? As of recent reports, Iowa has 2,419 homeless individuals, which is about 7.6 people per 10,000 residents. The majority of these are unaccompanied individuals, with 1,666 people falling into this category. According to the National Alliance to End Homelessness, there has been a 56% increase in the number of unsheltered homeless individuals since last year. This includes people living in unsafe and unfit conditions, such as cars, tents, or under bridges. Interestingly, the number of homeless veterans in Iowa has reached 141, which is higher than the 124 homeless youth. Although Iowa's homeless population is smaller compared to other states, various interconnected factors contribute to this growing issue. One of the main causes is the rising rent prices in major cities like Des Moines and Cedar Rapids. Iowa faces a shortage of 58,377 affordable rental units. On top of that, many families are burdened by the high cost of living, with over half of their income being spent on rent. To afford a two-bedroom apartment that meets the standards set by the Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, a household must earn an annual income of at least $39,232. As a result, many low-income families are forced to sacrifice other essential needs, like healthy food and healthcare, making them more vulnerable to eviction and homelessness. Mental health issues and substance addiction also play a significant role. Many homeless individuals lack access to adequate mental health services or rehabilitation, which only worsens their situation. In early October 2023, a major fire broke out at a homeless camp near the Iowa River. The fire destroyed much of the camp, although fortunately, no lives were lost. The camp, which had grown from just a few people in the spring to over 20 or 30 residents, now left many homeless individuals without shelter once again. This fire serves as a stark reminder of the real-life consequences of the lack of affordable housing and social services in Iowa.
It's hard sometimes, but you know what? That's the struggle. That's part of what living this lifestyle is.
As mentioned earlier, Iowa is known as the heartland of America. But behind its vast fields of corn and soybeans lies a darker story about the lives of migrant workers who are often overlooked. Iowa is home to a significant number of migrant agricultural workers, with an estimated 3,000 to 6,000 workers coming each year. Most of these workers are seasonal migrants from Mexico or Latin America, who come to Iowa to work in agriculture, especially during planting and harvest seasons. The majority of these workers are employed with temporary H-2A visas or work without proper documentation. They are often paid very low wages, far below standard rates, despite working long hours in physically demanding conditions, such as harvesting crops or tending to livestock. Some of them don't even receive fair wages due to unclear contracts or deductions for accommodation costs. Many migrant workers are forced to work in extreme conditions, such as scorching heat, pesticide exposure, or other physical hazards. They rarely receive health protection or work insurance. Injuries or illnesses are often neglected, as their access to healthcare services is very limited. In some cases, workers are left to live with broken windows, leaking doors, and broken refrigerators. Some are crammed into trailers with little space. A significant number of migrant workers reside in housing provided by their employers, but these living conditions often fail to meet basic standards of safety and comfort. Reports indicate poor sanitation facilities, overcrowding, and limited access to clean water. Migrant workers often don't know their rights, such as minimum wage laws or the right to a safe working environment. Many are afraid to report the issues they face because they fear retaliation or deportation. This hidden side of Iowa's agricultural industry reveals the exploitation and vulnerability that migrant workers endure, working long hours under harsh conditions without sufficient support, protection, or resources to address their needs. Despite being considered a safe state, Iowa is not immune to the growing problem of substance abuse, particularly opioids. Opioids, especially fentanyl, have become a major cause of death in Iowa. According to the governor of Iowa, in 2022, 83% of opioid-related deaths in the state were attributed to fentanyl, marking a 31% increase from 5 years ago. The Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, has identified fentanyl as the biggest drug threat in Iowa, alongside methamphetamine. The Iowa Office of Drug Control Policy reported that in 2021, 429 residents of Iowa died from overdose, and 83% of those deaths were linked to fentanyl. Fentanyl is often mass-marketed and disguised as prescription pills, such as Percocet, OxyContin, and Xanax. These pills, which appear to be regular prescription medications, can be laced with a dangerous, even lethal, dose of fentanyl. The Iowa Division of Criminal Investigations Criminalistics Laboratory analyzed 17,163 counterfeit pills labeled as prescription drugs in 2021. In 2022, this number surged to over 92,000 fake pills, most of which contained fentanyl. In response to this crisis, drug activists in Iowa are pushing for the legalization of fentanyl test strips, which are tools that allow people to detect the presence of fentanyl in drugs. Previously, these test strips were considered drug paraphernalia and were illegal in the state. Fentanyl is an incredibly potent synthetic opioid that often causes overdose, particularly when individuals unknowingly consume drugs laced with it. With fentanyl test strips, people can check their drugs to ensure they are safe, potentially preventing fatal overdoses. The rise in fentanyl abuse and its impact on Iowa highlights the urgency of addressing opioid addiction in the state, both in terms of prevention and harm reduction. The push to legalize fentanyl test strips is just one step in the ongoing battle to curb the devastating effects of this opioid epidemic.
These counterfeit pills are becoming more and more popular. They are easy to hide, easy to purchase, and are very seldom detected by parents.
While Iowa overall has a relatively low crime rate of 1,618 crimes per 100,000 people, which is 35% lower than the national average, crime rates can vary significantly by region. In general, larger cities and urban areas tend to have higher crime rates than rural areas. Des Moines, the state capital and Iowa's largest city with a population of over 214,000, has a total crime rate that is 62% higher than the national average. Violent and property crimes are notably high in Des Moines, with frequent occurrences of assault, theft, car theft, and robbery. In 2022, the city recorded 2 murders and 165 robberies. Additionally, Des Moines has a significant drug problem, with many drug-related offenses and overdose cases reported each year. Ottumwa, with a population of around 25,500 people, has the highest crime rate in Iowa at 4,071 crimes per 100,000 people. Violent crime in Ottumwa is well above the national average, with regular incidents of murder, robbery, and assault. Drug trafficking is a major factor contributing to the high rates of property crime in the area. Davenport, located along the Mississippi River, is one of the larger cities in Iowa, with a population of about 101,700. Its crime rate is 81% higher than the national average, with property crimes being the most common. Common types of crime in Davenport include robberies and thefts of both personal belongings and property. In 2022, the city recorded 10 murders and 98 robberies. These cities, while still relatively safe compared to national averages, highlight the variations in crime across Iowa and the challenges faced by urban areas in dealing with violent crimes and drug-related issues.
I want to know if you think it's justifiable to shoot 3 people, kill 2 of them, because you felt uncomfortable.
I felt like they were going to kill me. I felt like they were going to kill me.
Between 2020 and 2022, Iowa's rural population experienced a significant decline, while urban areas saw growth. Overall, Iowa's population grew by just 0.31%, maintaining stability compared to fast-growing states like Idaho or those experiencing steep declines, such as New York and California. Urbanization continues to be a dominant trend, with some rural areas losing up to 3% of their population. For example, Monona County in western Iowa saw the largest population drop, nearly 3%, while the Dallas County, which includes cities like West Des Moines and Waukee, experienced a population surge of 7.5%. Grand River, a small town with fewer than 200 residents, has an aging population, with most people over 40 years old. The average household income is a modest $32,000 per year, and homes are exceptionally affordable at around $33,000. However, Grand River lacks key services, including gas stations and a hospital, which makes it increasingly less viable for younger families or newcomers. In contrast, Kellerton, with a population of 240 people, has managed to retain some vibrancy due to a younger median age of 34. While it faces a relatively high crime rate, the town still offers basic amenities like a convenience store. Household incomes here are slightly higher, at $40,600 annually, and homes are valued around $56,700. Bedford, a town of about 1,300 people, stands out for its rich history and strong community spirit. Its median household income is higher, reaching $58,300 per year, and the poverty rate is low, at just 8%. The downtown area is filled with historic buildings, including the Romanesque Revival-style courthouse and the vintage Garland Hotel, giving the town a distinct, charming character. However, like many other small towns, Bedford faces the challenge of young workers moving to larger cities in search of higher-paying jobs, leaving behind an aging population and further contributing to the gradual decline of rural life in Iowa. These towns paint a picture of rural Iowa, where the population continues to shrink as younger generations leave for better opportunities, and small towns struggle to maintain their infrastructure and services.